back to Weekend Report. On this day in 1993, one of the most celebrated anti-apartheid activists and revolutionary Oliver Reginald Tambo passed away from complications after suffering a stroke. He left behind a trail of enormous influence and work that he did during the liberation struggle. He was one of the founding members of the ANC Youth League. Tambo, over the years, became an essential beacon in the ANC success over the years in the fight against apartheid, having fulfilled various responsibilities to fulfill different mandates for the party. Tambo served as president of the African National Congress from 1967 to 1991, known to have been passionate about human rights, education, and the empowerment of those in need. Today, the Tambo Foundation, which commemorates the life, values, and lessons bestowed in Tambo's legacy, along with his wife Adelaide, continues to employ those same characteristics to ensure a transformed and equal as well as just society. To tell us more about the legacy of Oliver Tambo and the work done by the foundation is a Board of Trustees member, Dali Tambo. A very good morning to you, Dali. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, the intro pretty much says it all about what Oliver Reginald Tambo stood for. Talk to us about the foundation and the work that it's doing to keep that legacy alive.
Well, the foundation exists, as you say, to keep his and my mother's legacy alive. Their values are the most important thing that the foundation represents. It's the history of the two individuals, but most importantly, in terms of relevance to today's society, it's the values that they represented of integrity, of revolutionary change, of an equal egalitarian society in which the previously oppressed would find liberation and would find a better life.
Yeah, and I mean, it is the legacy of both your parents, your father and your mother, but for today's discussion, particularly focusing on Oliver Reginald Tambo.
Yes.
You know, he was a man with, you've mentioned, you know, he was a man that really wanted the ANC to achieve non-racial, non-sexist, democratic and united South Africa. You know, looking at the current space that the foundation operates in within the country, how is that goal? How far are we from achieving it?
Well, I'd say we're some distance. You know, one sometimes has to wonder whether we had a revolution or a reform, because the essentials of the land, of the economy, have yet to be delivered properly into the hands of the majority of our people. So I think his mission is unfulfilled. The ANC is still trying to fulfill that mission. Many are working extremely hard to try and bring that to light under very, very difficult circumstances.
Can you talk to us about some of the work that the foundation has done to improve that situation?
Well, the foundation is not a political animal, as it were, but it obviously acts in society in all kinds of ways to keep the memory of OR alive and to keep his ideals at the forefront of the public mind. He belonged to a generation of iconic stalwarts who spent their lives building both the ANC and fighting against apartheid to build a free and democratic South Africa. So we've made great strides, but there are greater strides. It's that story of once you get to the top of the mountain, you see that there are 50 other mountains to climb before you reach your goal. And I guess we're in that situation. I think that that generation represented the ideals of self-sacrifice and of, as I say, integrity of a political sort, which means that you have a goal, you stick to that goal, and in fighting for the realization of that goal, you act in ways that reflect the long-held values of Africa's oldest liberation movement. And when in government, you know, you pursue that with rigor and with honesty and with a determination that will see our people truly free. I remember when I was discussing with him whether I should go into politics or not. He said to me, look, it's like the church, it's a calling. And so if you go into it, you must understand two things. One, it will not be easy. And two, you will be poor, Dali, he said to me. And I sometimes ask friends, do you think he was naive? Or was he actually correct that, there is a degree of self-sacrifice. Even today, I see many members of the ANC sacrificing what could have been lucrative business careers, things like this, in order to serve their people. So I think it's about holding on to those ideals, never giving up, and understanding that at some point, our people must own their own land. At some point, we must be serious players in this economy. We weren't fighting, nor were they, just for political liberation. They were fighting economic liberation as well.
Absolutely. If you bring it closer to home with the current political landscape in the country, you speak of, if you had your father saying if you go into politics you'll be poor. It doesn't seem like the case with politics at the moment. It doesn't seem like that is the foundation, or that's a principle that guides, politicians largely. Obviously, I'm talking very broad here. It doesn't seem like it is a sacrifice, a self-giving sacrifice for a lot of politicians at the moment. What do you make of, the current political landscape of South Africa?
Well, as I say, it's a work in progress, and we obviously have to work much, much harder. I don't envy the task of those in power. There are a lot of poor politicians. There are a lot of people within the movement who have sacrificed everything to play their role and continue to do so. There are some apples that are not particularly admirable, but that doesn't spoil the whole barrel. I think we are in historically an early period still, even though it's been 2 decades. We had 400 years, almost, 350 years of colonialism, apartheid, which which takes a bit of turning around. We have to be brave. We have to be radical.
As the hands of time turn, there will be new generations that will come from into the political space. You mentioned the importance of keeping the memory, keeping the values of your parents alive. I would believe that the foundation would be looking to ensure that these new generations are aware of exactly where the ANC comes from, in particular relating to your parents and their influence on the party.
Yes, their influence and that of so many others. That's why heritage is so important. That's why historical education is so important. So that the new generations that arise are conscious of the values of those who went before them. They're conscious of what it takes and what it will take for their generation to truly realize the goals and ideals of our struggle. We've been unfortunate. Today, Chris Honey's name is in the newspapers. What a diamond that we lost, and how different our country might have been had he lived. So there are many who we lost in the struggle and since the struggle. But those that we have also have a sterling caliber, and we await the fruits of their labor in terms of if you can't go wrong if you follow the ideals and the values of OR's generation. You can't go wrong.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. That was Tambo Foundation's Board of Trustee member, Dali Tambo, also the son of Oliver Reginald and Adelaide Tambo. We really appreciate you taking your time, taking time out to speak to us this morning.